Join me as I dive into the world of banned horror films and challenge myself to watch the most disturbing one ever made. Banned horror movies are a fascinating topic because they often push the boundaries of what's acceptable in society. These films are often considered too intense, too violent, or too disturbing for general audiences. As a result, they're frequently banned or heavily censored, making them even more intriguing to horror fans. But what drives these filmmakers to create such controversial content? Is it a desire to shock and provoke, or is it a genuine attempt to explore the darker aspects of human nature? Despite their notoriety, banned horror movies have had a significant impact on the genre as a whole. They've inspired countless other filmmakers to push the envelope and challenge audiences in new and innovative ways. And yet, they remain a mystery to many people, often whispered about in hushed tones or relegated to the fringes of popular culture. Today, I want to explore some of the most disturbing horror movies ever banned and examine what makes them so controversial. Cannibal Holocaust, 1980. Reason for ban: extreme violence, animal cruelty, and racism. This groundbreaking and deeply controversial pseudo-documentary pushed the boundaries of cinematic representation to unprecedented and shocking levels. Directed by Italian filmmaker Ruggero Deodato, the film follows a rescue mission into the Amazon rainforest, capturing the horrific fate of a documentary film crew encountering indigenous tribes. What set the film apart was its revolutionary found footage style, which was so convincingly realistic that it sparked a legal nightmare for its creator. The film's most infamous sequences include graphic scenes of actual animal slaughter, most notably a prolonged and disturbing sequence involving the dismemberment of a live turtle. These scenes of genuine animal cruelty, combined with the film's unflinching depiction of violence against human characters, created a perfect storm of controversy. The line between fiction and reality became so blurred that Deodato was actually arrested and charged with murder, forced to prove in court that the actors were still alive and that the deaths were purely fictional. Beyond its technical innovations, the film was heavily criticized for its exploitative portrayal of indigenous peoples, reinforcing harmful colonial stereotypes and presenting a deeply racist narrative of primitive societies. Banned in over 50 countries, Cannibal Holocaust became a lightning rod for debates about media ethics, representation, and the limits of artistic expression. A Serbian Film, 2010. Reason for ban: graphic sexual violence, necrophilia, and infanticide. Perhaps one of the most notorious and universally condemned films in modern cinema. A Serbian Film represents the extreme limits of shock cinema. Directed by Srdan Spasojevic, the film follows a retired porn actor who becomes entangled in a nightmarish production that descends into unimaginable depravity. Its content is so extreme that it was banned in multiple countries, including Norway, New Zealand, and parts of Australia. The director attempted to frame the film as a metaphorical critique of Serbia's traumatic post-war societal conditions, suggesting that the graphic content was a form of political allegory about systemic exploitation. However, this artistic defense was largely rejected by critics and audiences who found the film's imagery not just shocking, but fundamentally traumatizing. Scenes involving sexual violence, and a particularly horrific sequence involving a newborn pushed the film far beyond the boundaries of acceptable cinema. Even among horror and extreme cinema enthusiasts, a Serbian Film was considered beyond the pale. Its graphic content sparked intense debates about the limits of artistic expression and the ethical boundaries of cinematic representation. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Reason for ban: relentless terror and perceived realistic violence. Tobe Hooper's seminal horror film revolutionized the genre through its documentary-like approach and psychological terror. Despite featuring surprisingly minimal on-screen gore, the film's raw, visceral style convinced many viewers that they were witnessing a true story. This sense of documentary realism made the horror feel immediate and tangible in a way that more stylized horror films could not achieve. The film follows a group of young friends terrorized by Leatherface, a grotesque killer who creates a mask from human skin, representing a new archetype of horror that moved beyond supernatural monsters. Its inclusion in the UK's Video Nasties list and subsequent bans in Australia and Germany underscore its profound impact on cultural sensibilities. What made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre truly revolutionary was its ability to create overwhelming psychological terror with minimal explicit violence. The film's suggestion of violence and its documentary-like aesthetic were far more disturbing than graphic gore, influencing generations of horror filmmakers. I Spit on Your Grave, 1978. Reason for ban: prolonged sexual violence and graphic retribution. A film that epitomizes the complex discourse around sexual violence in cinema, I Spit on Your Grave tells the story of Jennifer Hills, a writer who suffers a brutal gang rape and subsequently exacts violent revenge on her attackers. The film's 30-minute rape sequence and equally graphic revenge scenes made it a lightning rod for feminist critique and censorship debates. Director Meir Zarki claimed the film was a powerful statement about survivor resilience, presenting Jennifer's revenge as a form of empowerment. However, critics like Roger Ebert vehemently condemned the film as exploitative, arguing that its extended rape sequence was itself a form of violence against women. The film sparked intense philosophical and feminist debates about representation, revenge, and the cinematic portrayal of sexual violence. While some viewed it as a radical feminist statement, others saw it as gratuitous shock cinema that potentially re-traumatized viewers. The Human Centipede 2, full sequence, 2011. Reason for ban: excessive gore and sadistic violence. A meta-horror film that pushed the boundaries of cinematic grotesquerie, The Human Centipede 2 follows Martin, a mentally unstable man obsessed with recreating the human centipede concept from the first film. Shot in black and white, the film's graphic mutilation and sexual violence led to immediate bans in the UK and Australia. Director Tom Six positioned the film as a commentary on horror fandom and audience desensitization, suggesting it was a deliberate provocation about media consumption. However, most critics and viewers saw it as an exercise in pure shock value, pushing beyond the already controversial premise of the first film. The UK's classification board initially refused to classify the film, only allowing its release after demanding 32 minutes of cuts, highlighting the extreme nature of its content. Faces of Death, 1978. Reason for ban: graphic depictions of real and staged deaths. A pioneering shockumentary that blurred the lines between reality and fiction, Faces of Death capitalized on audience morbid curiosity by presenting a compilation of death scenes, some real, many staged. Marketed as a shocking exploration of mortality, it was banned in over 40 countries due to its graphic content. Director John Alan Schwartz later revealed that most of the film's most shocking sequences were carefully staged, a revelation that did little to diminish the film's notorious reputation. It became a cult phenomenon, with bootleg copies circulating in banned countries and creating an underground mystique. Salò, or The 120 Days of Sodom, 1975. Reason for ban: graphic sexual violence and political allegory. Pier Paolo Pasolini's final film stands as perhaps the most controversial cinematic work of the 20th century. An adaptation of the Marquis de Sada's novel, set in fascist Italy, the film depicts powerful men systematically torturing and sexually abusing 16 young captives. Far more than mere exploitation, the film serves as a brutal critique of fascism, power structures, and societal oppression. The film's explicit scenes of sexual violence and torture were deliberately designed to be unbearable, serving as a metaphorical exploration of political and societal violence. While some praised its profound political message, others saw it as an unforgivable assault on cinematic decency. The Exorcist, 1973. Reason for ban: religious controversy and psychological impact. William Friedkin's horror masterpiece about demonic possession transcended typical horror film boundaries, creating a cultural phenomenon that shocked and fascinated audiences worldwide. The film's graphic depiction of a young girl's possession, featuring head rotation, violent self-mutilation, and blasphemous imagery, caused viewers to faint and vomit in theaters. Religious groups condemned the film as a direct assault on Christian beliefs, leading to bans in several countries. Ironically, the controversy only amplified its appeal, contributing to its massive box office success and enduring cultural significance. Nekromantik, 1987. Reason for ban: necrophilia and graphic content. A landmark in underground German cinema, Nekromantik explores humanity's complicated relationship with death through an explicitly graphic lens. The film follows a couple's disturbing obsession with corpses, featuring graphic necrophilic acts that challenged every conceivable cinematic boundary. Director Jörg Buttgereit created a work that was simultaneously a provocation and a serious artistic statement. Some viewed the film as a subversive critique of societal attitudes toward death, while others saw it as pure, gratuitous exploitation. Martyrs, 2008. Reason for ban: extreme violence, and psychological torment. Part of the new French extremity movement, Martyrs represents the pinnacle of philosophical horror cinema. The film follows two women uncovering a secretive organization that believes extreme suffering can reveal transcendent metaphysical truths. Its graphic torture sequences and nihilistic themes led to bans in multiple countries, including the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. While condemned for its unrelenting violence, the film was simultaneously praised for its profound philosophical depth, challenging viewers to contemplate the nature of pain, transcendence, and human endurance. A work that defies simple categorization, Martyrs remains a landmark in extreme cinema that continues to provoke and challenge audiences worldwide. So what's the takeaway from all these banned horror movies? For one thing, it's clear that horror is a powerful tool for exploring the darker aspects of human nature. These films may be controversial and disturbing, but they're also thought-provoking and challenging. They force us to confront our deepest fears and anxieties, and they make us question the boundaries of what's acceptable in society. Ultimately, banned horror movies are a reflection of our own darker impulses and desires. They may be uncomfortable to watch, but they're also a necessary part of the horror genre. So the next time you're browsing through a list of banned horror movies, remember that they're not just disturbing, they're also a powerful tool for social commentary and exploration. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're clearly a true horror fan at heart. But what do you think about these banned horror movies? Do you think they're too disturbing, or do you think they're a necessary part of the horror genre? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more horror-related content.